Hi and welcome to this week's Three Legs Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Sean,
Chris,
Lee.
We did that a lot better than we did that one yesterday.
Yeah, that went wrong, didn't it?
It went badly wrong. Although we were driving around in a figure eight at the time in LMP1 prototypes and Mazda MX-5s and God knows what else.
Super thanks to Matt for getting us on his Twitch stream. It was good fun.
Yeah, Chris, you're gonna have to join us on iRacing at some point. You do know this, don't you?
Yeah, well, I was hovering over buying a laptop that wouldn't play games, and then I didn't buy it. It was actually in my basket.
We will discuss this later. And it will end up with you buying a laptop that plays games and you joining the Three Legs Four Wheels iRacing grid. You know it'll happen. How are we all this week?
yeah, not too
All right,
bad.
yeah.
Another week closer to the F1 season kicking off.
Can't wait.
What was it now? Is it
Less than a month away
three
now.
weeks? 4 weeks? Lost count.
3 weeks.
4 weeks.
3 weeks' time, we will be doing a race preview. Just like we did a race preview before Australia. Shall we see if Scarbs is free for that one?
Yeah, that race preview that we did when we were saying, I don't think it's going to happen, but it probably will because they're all there anyway. Yeah.
Or should we just...
That was a lot.
I was going to say, shall we just re-release that one? I'll just edit it to make every mention of Australia into Austria. I'll just have to cut a couple of letters out.
It could do. Yeah. There might be some. It might be worth re-listening to that podcast, actually, all of us, just so that we can learn what we said after testing.
We all remember testing was in February 3 years ago.
It has been a long time.
It just seems so long since we were watching testing and talking about it. And I mean, remember DAS?
Oh, God, I'd actually forgotten about that. Because that was like the big thing. And yeah, now it's just, oh, well.
Yeah, the internet was up in arms. Mercedes steering wheel goes in and out. Now it's like, Mercedes, weren't they the silver ones?
Or the pink ones.
No,
All the pink ones.
All the pink ones. The pink, well, will be maybe the pink ones. We don't know, can't remember. But we do now definitely have an 8-race calendar confirmed for up to the start of September. All in Europe.
Real names.
With real names, yes. So instead of Austrian Grand Prix 2 and British Grand Prix 2, we've got the Styrian Grand Prix in English, or Chris, you managed to say it in German?
I think it's Steiermark. I should really have it open in front of me, but I don't.
It would surely be in Austrian, not German.
What language do they speak in Austria?
They speak Austrian.
It
Go tell an
it is
Austrian they're
slightly-
speaking German.
is slightly different to German, but it's basically the same language as far as I can tell. People will correct me if I am wrong.
I think it's like French and Flemish, isn't it?
No, Dutch and Flemish.
I think it's like Portuguese and Spanish.
Yeah, you got the wrong bit of Belgium. It's French and Walloon and Dutch and Flemish.
You speak French to someone from Belgium and they understand you.
Not if you're in Flanders, they don't. You speak French to somebody there and they will actually ask you to leave their cafe. And then you go and buy a Flemish phrase book and you realise, oh shit, most of this is Dutch. I've spent the last 6 weeks learning the wrong language. That may or may not have happened to me. Spoiler,
Meaning
it did. Yep. So, yes, we've got the... I'm going to call it the Styrian Grand Prix because that's the region of Austria it's in and that's what it translates as in English.
Yeah, I've just got it up in front of me now. Steiermark or Steiermark, depending on how you want to pronounce it.
But isn't Austrian just German spoken like a farmer anyway?
It is basically just a dialect, I think. I don't think there is a huge difference, but...
And the second race at Silverstone is going to be the 70th anniversary Grand Prix, which, as we were saying before, that's something new, even though it's a 70th anniversary.
Yeah, and a different sponsor as well. It's going to be the Emirates Formula 1 70th anniversary Grand Prix, whereas the British Grand Prix is sponsored by Pirelli.
Oh, is it Pirelli now, not Santander?
Yeah, it's the Formula 1 Pirelli British Grand Prix and the Emirates Formula One 70th Anniversary Grand Prix. Having said that, the two races in Austria also have different sponsors, Rolex and then again, strangely enough, Pirelli.
Oh, not Red Bull. I suppose
No.
they're providing the circuit.
It was something called iTime a couple of years ago, wasn't it? And I think we Googled the
It
shit
was.
out of this, and I've still no idea what it is.
I think it was a
It was an app.
Austrian and German app. It may have been social media, but
Yeah, it sponsored the MotoGP as well, but aside from that, that's 100% of the detail I could find on them.
Yeah, the Spanish Grand Prix is sponsored by Aramco. And then Rolex do the Belgian Grand Prix, and Heineken, as usual, doing the Italian Grand Prix. Those two races, of course, not moving from their original dates.
But there is also talk of a 9th race in Europe at Mugello, which Ferrari are looking to have called the Ferrari 1000th Anniversary Grand Prix or something along those lines. Because
Or I've seen. Oh, sorry, go on.
Well, as things stand, Ferrari's 999th race in the World Championships will be the Monza round of this season, and they're pushing to get their 1000th race to be held in Italy at a track they conveniently own.
Of course they would, but I've seen Hockenheim is being touted as well, and I think the article I read said Imola, but you said that's out now.
Yeah, apparently Imola isn't going to be, or the region of Italy that Imola's in isn't going to actually be able to host any sporting events of that scale until much later on in the year. They're looking at November, December, and of course you can't really run an F1 race in Europe that time of year.
No.
Just for the same reason we're not going to Canada after September.
Can we just spend a second to go how crazy it is that we're actually going to get a race in Italy when you consider what we were talking about a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and you've got to throw Spain into that as well, really.
Yeah,
Well, Britain as
absolutely.
well.
And Belgium, yeah.
And England.
The world, everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely crazy that we're going to get a race anywhere.
Yeah. It's I think the more we see like the issues that teams have been having and stuff like that, we had to have races or there wouldn't have been a sport.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'll take us a few years just to find out how close we were to losing multiple teams on the grid.
Well, I read a thing with Ross Broad talking about Williams because I think he mentioned the Toto thing, which I'm sure we'll talk about a bit later. And he said, "Oh, you've got teams that are in real trouble, like Williams and McLaren, for instance. So clearly, McLaren are in have got more issues than we thought they did."
McLaren have been laying people off, haven't they? They've been mortgaging all their cars, although there seems to be some suggestion that some of the laying off is simply preparation for the salary cap.
Yeah, it's only 70 Formula One jobs, though, that have gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's the rest of the jobs that went at McLaren were part of the automotive division.
Yeah, so I think there's something going on in the background there, but I would not be unduly worried.
Oh, the thing is, with the prices of the McLaren hypercars, bless you.
Excuse me. So I tried to do that off microphone, but I apologise if that was loud.
It didn't work.
With the prices of the McLaren hypercars, though, all they need to do is sell 3, and that's a year's turnover.
Yeah.
Talking to Williams and Toto, yes, Toto's bought 5% of Williams.
He reinvested some of the money that he took out when he sold his shares. I think that the term being used is in inverted commas reinvested, meaning he's bought some shares.
Yeah.
5%, I believe.
Yes, that was
the stake, wasn't it, that he sold when he became total boss of Mercedes?
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit more than that. I thought it was around about 15 that he had.
Possibly.
I thought he was a sizable non-member of the Williams family shareholder. But I mean, he's got 5% of them now, so he's now got a finger in 3 pies on the grid.
Well, officially, his Aston Martin finger is in the car company, not the F1 team.
True, but But
It's come at the right time for Williams, though. You know, any extra money's going to be good for them.
oh hell yeah! I read a quote today, and I can't remember who it was attributed to, but they were saying that the greatest fear is some billionaire buying Williams just to get their son a seat.
We're back to the Mazepins.
Yeah, because it'd be awful for somebody to put money into Formula One just to get their rich son a seat.
You'd never see that happening anywhere else.
The only issue
Formula One.
The only issue I've got with this is I worry that it might just prolong the issue for Williams, because if they could get investment just to carry on as they are, it might not be solving the problem.
Well,
Yeah.
we all know that the problem starts at the top and works its way down.
Yeah.
And
Probably Claire.
I was having a conversation with somebody this week saying, would Jonathan Williams have got as much shit as Claire's been getting if he'd have been in charge and things had have ended up like this? And I actually don't think if Jonathan Williams would have been in charge, it would have ended up like this.
No, and the idea of like any sort of sexism going towards like Claire for this is a bit rubbish, because we've spent the last 10 years like battering Ferrari bosses, battering McLaren bosses. You know, it's not like if you're a man managing a Formula One team, you've got a free pass.
No, I mean you've hated Eddie Jordan since day one.
Absolutely, and I like the Jordan team.
Is there anywhere actually official talking about this, by the way? Because he's not listed anywhere as a shareholder on any of the sites that normally update within seconds when someone buys. Nothing official has
It
been...
was Ross Brawn that mentioned it off the record, apparently.
Toto's also did the interview as well about it, because he mentioned it an interview for somebody how Williams had always had a soft spot for him, and he was upset seeing what they were going through type situation.
Because the only websites that have reported on it are the ones we usually take the piss out of.
No, I'm sure I read a quote from him, because the first thing I thought when I read it, I thought it does seem like less of a business investment and more of a mission of mercy.
Yeah.
The only thing about that is don't forget he removed his Williams shares because of a conflict of interest when he became Mercedes boss, and at the time, if you remember, we thought that meant it could well be ripe for the fact that Williams could become a Mercedes junior team. I think almost kind of have, with George Russell just sat in that seat at the moment. But it's I wonder if this is another, if it is totally legitimate and he has taken his shares, bought some shares. I wonder if this is sort of pointing towards the fact that Mercedes may make a bigger investment into Williams, not as a junior team, but almost like as a technical partner, should we say?
It wouldn't be a bad thing. It was Pete Windsor that actually said that Toto had bought the shares. He tweeted that out.
I'm not up on him.
He used to be the team manager.
Interesting.
I think he's definitely right. Even if let's just say, for instance, everything Toto said about Mercedes and him is on the level, and he is for the relatively near future committed to stay with Mercedes, it does appear that he's laying foundations for not being out of Formula One if he decides to not be part of Mercedes.
Yeah, I think that's
Creating options,
Yeah.
it's that kind of thing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
And he's got the money and the financial and the sporting knowledge to be able to do this. And let's face it, if he decides he doesn't want to be team principal at Mercedes anymore, there will be a number of other teams on the grid. I would probably say 8 other teams on the grid desperate to have his expertise.
Yeah, well, let's face it. I mean, you don't think of these things because you only ever really do this in retrospect. It's the same way as talking about Lewis Hamilton, and if he's like the best driver of all time, you only really have that conversation when he retires. Toto Wolff is the most successful team boss of all time.
You tend to forget that because he's still going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's. I'm just trying to think. Jean Todt was there for Ferrari, wasn't he, for all of the Schumacher successes?
Yeah, but apart from Schumacher's personal championship record, all of the team records have basically gone now, haven't they, to Mercedes?
But they're tied, aren't they, with 6 in a row with is it 6 in a row? Yeah, 6 in a row with
is it
Ferrari? Yeah.
Oh, I thought they'd won. I thought they'd won that. I thought Ferrari only had 5 in a row.
No, the constructors in '99 when they stopped Eddie Irvine winning the drivers.
Yeah.
Sorry, stopped Irvine from winning the title.
Sorry, when Irvine's car just mysteriously couldn't get it together at the last race in Japan, where all he had to do was finish ahead of Hakkinen.
Lost a second somewhere in transit.
Yeah. I think that they jettisoned it out over the Pacific as ballast.
It's that must even Eddie Irvine, who's what you consider I think a guy that's pretty happy with his hand in life. There must be times where he's sat on his boat in Monaco thinking, "You motherfuckers."
Maybe.
I think. Yeah, I'd still be. Don't
forget,
pretty pissed off.
He got a very favourable. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say I'd still be pretty pissed off if they'd have done that to me. You know, it's you want to win a world championship. You know that's the reason that you take part in sport, to win.
But I mean, even down to the fact you could tell where David Hill talks about it. There's still that sort of niggle in the back of his voice when he's talking about it, where he knows he should be a 2-time world champion.
Yeah.
Don't forget that Eddie Irvine did get a substantial severance contract when he left Ferrari, which was that Ferrari would provide him with a new road car every few years, and he still gets that. It's almost like Ferrari, like no other Ferrari driver, as far as I know, has got the kind of severance package when he left Ferrari that Eddie Irvine got. It's almost like they were like, yeah, we did that on purpose. Really sorry about that. Here's a new car every 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, Irvine's got the money to just buy those cars, so where is there a nice present? I'm sure he'd prefer a world championship.
He's probably got the money because he sells the cars after 4 years.
Yeah.
No, he's still got the money because I think he makes Ferrari pay for the insurance as well. You know, to own and drive one of those cars, you need an F1 driver's salary just to be able to pay the running costs on it for a week.
And he does also own like half of Strangford Lock as well.
Yeah. I always think there's a guy on the Isle of Man that I see sometimes if I go the right way to work, and he goes to work every morning in a McLaren, and I think to myself, you're spending my wage in fuel every week, aren't you?
I know the one you mean. I think I've done an entire trip from basically my house to just past yours in a taxi, following it.
Yeah.
I've completely lost the thread now of where we were.
Anyway, double checked. No filings with the stock exchange for Toto Wolff buying shares, so he might be thinking about it, but he has not done it.
Ah, right. That was some impressive research.
Hey,
that was some impressive research.
It's very easily Googled.
Oh, I know. But you weren't talking, so you managed to concentrate on it. We were talking, so couldn't.
Yes.
So yeah, Toto may or may not be buying 5% of Williams, but according to another article that I just looked at, apparently he owned 30% of Williams shares before. And now I'm guessing because his surname wasn't Williams, they were non-voting shares, and it was just give us your money and we'll say you own a bit of the company, but you're getting absolutely sod all back for it.
Wow, that's a big chunk.
Yeah, I didn't actually know that they'd let the Williams clan let that much of the company into other people's hands.
I think it's 50.
Patrick Head isn't. Patrick Head's a shareholder, I think, isn't he?
He is.
Patrick Head owns a chunk, and I'm sure it's 55% of something like 55. Sorry, in the 50s of percent that the Williams family still own, so they still keep the controlling share, and then Patrick Head has a chunk, so whatever else is floated can't be swallowed up by somebody else. So there is another majority shareholder.
Yeah, so it's basically still Frank/Claire Williams are in complete control, and this is where the problems come from.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, realistically, I don't even think you could blame Frank now, because he's just too old. He's too old to have any. Like it's not like he could come back in and run a team. He's obviously not making any decisions for it anymore. So he's just there, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's just
literally
a figurehead
propped up in the corner.
No, I think he's still classed as the owner of the Williams.
He has 51.3%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's still coming from the family. God, that makes it sound dodgy and crime.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, they need they need new investment, and they need something doing about them from the top down.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to see. I mean, hopefully, the only thing to think is maybe this the new guy they've got in is going to be what they need. Like Seidel was the guy to straighten McLaren out, and whatever investments come in from Toto Wolff, hopefully they can tread water until these aero rules come in, because I think that Williams would be one of the big beneficiaries of the new aero control rules.
You'd hope so. I mean, obviously, one of the talking of the aero rules, that's one thing that's being brought in with the further down the championship you are, the more wind tunnel time you're allowed.
Yep.
And sticking on Toto, he seems to be happy with that. So he appears to have voted for it.
Almost as if further down the championship there's a car that's very similar to theirs that they could potentially get information from.
Now, whose wind tunnel do Racing Point rent?
I thought they had their own.
They've got a 50% one, not a full-size one.
Ah.
No, I'm not saying that kind of thing would definitely happen.
Start again, Christopher. That's allowed, though, isn't it? Within the rules that teams can rent full-size wind tunnels from teams that do have them.
Oh yeah,
because was it Manor the year that they folded? Was it 2015? They had, or 2016? They had their wind tunnel model completely made. It wasn't even. I don't think it was even half size. I think it was like quarter size. But the wind tunnel model was the one thing I think that sold for quite a lot of money in the end, because it was like the last thing that the Manor Formula One team put together.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. I think it was up on Heritage Auctions or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was trying to see what I could snaffle from there. Didn't get anything from Manor. I did get a nice bag from Caterham, though.
Oh yeah, you crowdfunded the last Caterham Grand Prix, didn't you?
I crowdfunded Will Stevens driving for Caterham.
What an achievement.
Hey, it got him the Manor seat the following year.
It did. And he called Grosjean a muppet. It was worth it.
What type of bag is this?
Just like a drawstring kind of like gym bag, and it just says Caterham on it. That's literally it.
We need a photo. That needs to go up on the website.
Yeah, I'll see if I could. I'm pretty sure it's downstairs. I'll take a photo of it later.
You know when your brain goes completely and utterly blank. I was going to say something then. Oh yes, so yes, if Racing Point have a car that is identical to Mercedes and sort of get to hire out Mercedes wind tunnel for it, I wonder if they'll just be saving 2 sets of data results. Just for security purposes, just for a backup in case you lose yours.
I think there'd be pretty strict protocols around that. If 2 teams use the same wind tunnel.
Well, you've got 2 teams using the same car.
Well, Ted
That's not the same
Kravitz,
car, is it?
Ted Kravitz seems to think not, so I'm going with Ted.
All right, two teams using the same aero kit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Racing Point's aero kit is from last year's Mercedes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Their aero surfaces are almost identical, but the stuff underneath the skin is not. I think Scarbs said that last time we had him on the show, pre-Australian Grand Prix, that the stuff that he'd seen of the car that was underneath the skin was still very much Racing Point, but the actual skin itself very similar to Mercedes, and they kind of omitted it.
Hey, if it works, steal it. Sorry, be heavily influenced by it.
No, well, they kind of admitted, didn't they? They took the philosophy as far as they possibly could, so they had to switch philosophies. So they decided to look at many photographs of the winning car and to take the philosophy from that, which might not technically be completely legal, but it's within the rules as far as the rule book states. So. Kind of ingenious, kind of a little bit cheeky, but the best plans are always partially stolen from somewhere else.
Yeah. You can't really argue with that. Right, what else have we got? Pascal Wehrlein is currently out of work.
He's aiming for a seat with Porsche, isn't he?
Apparently, yes. He quit Mahindra today. Announced it on social media. But I don't think that's a big walking away type strop, because
Mahindra haven't said anything about it. So
he's just said he's never going to drive for him again.
That sounds like a big walking away strop.
it does.
No, and here's my reasoning why. This would have been if COVID hadn't have happened. This would have been the end of the Formula E season. He was only contracted till the end of the season.
Right.
Yeah, so his contract's going to be up pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, is it this coming weekend or the weekend just gone?
The weekend just gone. I think. I think
contract's up then.
Yeah. So his contract's up. There's going to be other drivers in the same position, but obviously they will have been offered and signed extensions until whenever the end of the 2019-20 season is. However, he's decided not to do that. The other rumour is that he's going to Audi because they've got a seat free.
I think we've seen this before, haven't we? With like footballers trying to angle moves to other clubs by just saying, "I'm not playing for this club ever again," and then hanging around the doors of another club on like transfer deadline day, like sign me. Not going to name any names.
You can say Peter
Odemwingie.
I was going to say you can say Peter Odemwingie turning up outside QPR's training ground in his Land Rover and waiting there for 8 hours for I think it was Harry Redknapp at the time to come out and sign him and didn't.
Yeah, for no one to sign it.
You would feel like a cock, wouldn't you?
Was it Willian who had travelled from, I can't remember which European club Chelsea signed him from, but he travelled to London to sign with Spurs, and Chelsea intercepted him in between the airport and Spurs training ground and agreed a contract in about 10 minutes.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
That's one, isn't it? Robinho, of course, the famous Brazilian footballer Robinho, heard he was going to Manchester, thought he was going to Manchester United, and ended up at Manchester City.
That worked out. No one won in that deal, really, did they?
His agent.
No, nobody won.
Is he in jail now? Is he?
I think he might be.
He did. I'm sure he went to jail. Can't remember why.
Dodgy finances, accepting bribes.
But yeah, it's a footballer move, isn't it, that Pascal Wehrlein's pulled here, because he was... we've seen him in a Ferrari Formula One car even this year. You know, he's been doing tyre tests and I think he was testing something else as well in an old Ferrari. But he's
well, he is still officially the Ferrari test driver. He's not the reserve driver, but he is. He is on the testing program. But then again, so's everyone.
Yeah, well, Brendan Hartley's had a go. Danny Kvyat before Brendan Hartley, and who else was there?
Jev, I think, has been there.
Kimui Kobayashi, yep, Jean-Eric Verne, and almost any Formula One driver who loses a seat and you think, oh, that's a bit of a shame, tends to end up as a Ferrari test driver at some point.
I mean, technically, I think Marc Genet actually still is.
I think Esteban Gutierrez was there for a little bit.
Before Mercedes got him.
Yeah, possibly. So yeah, it's just one of the. I don't think Adrian Sutil ever ended up there, did he? But the
Yeah, he went to Maranello and sat outside for 8 hours in his Land Rover.
yeah, that's just, but it's a bit of a. We've had a joke before about Princess Pascal, and it actually turned out his back injury a couple of years ago, well, 3 years ago now, was actually quite serious. But
we were wrong.
We were wrong.
I think
this does seem a little diva-ish, doesn't it? It seems like a diva move where he's just sort of been like, my contract is up, therefore I am out and on to pastures new because I am Pascal Wehrlein.
who looks like a boxer these days.
He looks like a villain from a 1930s Tintin cartoon with that mustache.
Now, this also makes me think that the whole Audi and Daniel Abt thing, I think they were going to get rid of him anyway because he's been on one-year rolling deals. And I think that was...
because he's rubbish.
Yeah.
Poor Bottas.
And I think what Audi did was a case of, right, you've taken the piss out of us, we'll take the piss out of you. They weren't going to re-sign him anyway for next season. And they just said, yeah, he's done. Made everyone think that it was about the getting the ringer in for the iRace. But
it's actually to get Pascal in.
Yeah, but in reality, they weren't going to re-sign him anyway. And when they said he's never going to drive for the team again, they were going to have said, we've released him, but just thought, right, he's trolled us, let's troll him. Anybody got any thoughts?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. It's a bit. I don't know if
I'm not
it's.
gonna lie. I've never given Formula E this much headspace before.
It's all right. We're going to talk.
It does seem a bit far fetched, even as far as as far as the it kind of makes sense, but yeah, I mean Daniel Abt, on the face of it, Daniel Abt wasn't very good. Pascal Wehrlein, in anything other than a Sauber, appears to be pretty good. So why not give him a go? Hopefully, he gets a competitive car. He's always said he wants to try and make it back to Formula One.
And I think the only way he can do that is... Sorry, Chris, didn't mean to talk over you there. The only way that he can do that is actually to get at the front end of the Formula E field and stay there.
No one's done that, though, have they? No one has impressed in Formula E and ended up in F1.
No, it's always been the exact opposite. Disappointed in Formula One? Have a Formula E seat, Stoffel.
Yes, exactly. Well, Stoffel Van Dorn won the stay-at-home championship, didn't he? The E-Series. That was a thing.
Oh yeah,
he won the.
We're suffering real network lag tonight.
I think we might be, yeah. So Stoffel Van Dorn won the Formula E. Was it called Stay-at-Home or Race at Home, whatever it's called?
I think something like that.
In which case, get a mate to race for you.
race at somebody else's home.
Race in the background.
But yeah, of course, that has finished now. We could actually be seeing Formula E on, announcing the chance of a race at some point soon.
Yeah, I think I don't know where they would start, though, to be honest with you. I mean, I know the Formula One calendar was a bit of a difficult one to get working. I mean, even when it restarts next month, we're still in Europe, where the sort of calendar would be in sort of cramming a few races in, sort of slot, pushing a few around. Technically, the Formula E season's supposed to have finished, so it would be interesting to see how they do anything, in regards to when the next season's going to start. This might be a good idea actually for Formula E to actually have a calendar year season rather than a season over 2 years.
What you mean? Just bin off the rest of 2020 and start again next year.
Hotly rumoured it's starting in August, apparently.
Okay. But yeah, the 2021 championship, just do a calendar year rather than this over 2 years thing, which I think is. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. I just think it makes more flow sort of where you are in the like the casual fan like me, for example, who might dip in and out every now and again.
Sorry, we lost you there. Do you want to say that again? Because you sort of faded out and disappeared.
Yeah, I was going to say it's just the 2-year season thing. I just think it's difficult for the casual fan to follow. It's not so bad, if it's over a calendar year, but if it's split over 2 years, you don't know. Oh, hang on a second, where are we? January. So wait, we're halfway through the season.
It even looks.
Who's leading the championship?
It even looks stupid when you write the champion down. Champion 18-19. It's just daft.
There was the issue as well, wasn't there, the other year, where Verline had signed to Formula E, but was strictly speaking still contracted to Mercedes until the end of the calendar year, so ended up missing a round.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas if everyone's in a similar kind of sequence, it makes contract bollocks a bit easier.
How are we still talking about Formula E?
Because there's fuck all else to talk about.
It's all right. We're moving on to IndyCar next.
That's slightly better.
They have done
IndyCar.
cars on a racetrack. That is better.
Yeah.
It was pretty boring though, wasn't it? If we're all honest,
It held my
Didn't even
interest.
watch it.
It was all right, but it could have been more interesting. It was at the Texas Motor Speedway, which has had that extra grippy compound put on the corners for NASCAR, which they then removed.
Texas Motor Speedway, the one that was recently saved because it was going to be sold off for housing development or something.
I
Not sure.
couldn't tell you, but I think aren't most ovals under threat for housing development.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had this grippy compound that they put down for NASCAR, which they then removed. But unfortunately, it still left the track darker, so it didn't heat up as much, and it gave considerably less grip and caused a couple of crashes.
not ideal.
But it's IndyCar. IndyCar itself causes
This
couple of
was in
crashes,
qualifying. In qualifying, Kobayashi. Sato had a particularly messy one.
Completely wrecked his car that bad that he couldn't even race. Because they're doing practice.
Yeah.
They're doing practice qualifying and the race all crammed into one day now.
Yeah. So whereas watching Ted's not quite the lockdown notebook the other day, and he was saying that Formula One is still going to run 3-day weekends. So F1 are still doing the 3-day weekend, whereas other sports, NASCAR's condensed as well, isn't it, at the moment, because there's no fans in the stadium.
Yeah.
Isn't NASCAR doing it?
I think they're doing it all in one day
over-
still, aren't they, pretty much?
Well, for the first what was it, 4 races, they were doing it all in one state. I think the first four races were all in North Carolina, which is where all the NASCAR teams are based anyway.
And this is what they're talking about in Formula E as well. Sorry, Lee, I'm bringing it back to that. They're talking about having maybe up to 4 or 5 rounds in Germany.
Yeah, why not?
We keep doing this.
Most of the teams are in Germany. Then why not? It makes it Formula One. Going back to what Ted Kravitz said on his notebook. I'm pretty sure Sean watched it. He talked about when he was walking around the park annoying joggers.
Yes.
He was saying that Budapest in Hungary is only about 4.5 hours drive away from where the track is in Spielberg in Austria. So it's within reason that everybody could get on coaches if they're all going to move as one unit. Everybody could get in coaches and drive to Budapest in like half a day. It's not going to take you forever to get there. The normal way would have been to fly, but that might not be the case to doing it. And then after that, obviously, I think it's a week's break, and then it's the 2 races in Great Britain. So you've got, it appears to be well thought out that you've got enough time and space for the sport to move as one, and also try and travel together. Although the teams aren't allowed to mix, apparently, which is an interesting one.
Every team will be what they're calling it its own bubble.
Yeah, there will be bubbles within bubbles, I think, won't there?
Mm.
So how do they do it? Like at the end of the race when it's the podium.
They're not doing a podium.
No podiums.
No podium.
No podiums. No grid walks.
No, so a socially distanced race, like like race interview afterwards, or
I'm not sure.
That's going
actually,
to be really weird.
I don't know. Maybe they all have to individually go and collect their trophy.
Yeah,
But yeah, no-
like a pizza delivery guy just comes up with a trophy, hands it like 2 meters away, and just walks off.
It'll just be
And
left
then you gotta
left at the front of the garage, and then you've got to wait for him to bugger off, and then you come and get it with a big
Yeah.
stick.
Yeah, then you shout "thank you" and wipe it down with a Dettol wipe.
Hang on, this isn't the one I ordered.
So DHL will actually be delivering the DHL fastest lap teeny tiny tyre.
Well, I think they're going to have to if they're going to maintain social distancing and everything whilst they're doing it.
Yeah, the
I
problem
don't
is
see
though,
how they can.
if DHL are bringing it, it'll go to the wrong garage.
Now, remember at Race of Champions a couple of years ago, they brought the trophy out in a truck, and was it David Coulthard was in the truck?
Yeah, oh yes.
That sounds very Hollywood.
I think this was in the one in, was it in Riyadh?
I think it might have been. Yeah, yeah. I don't remember him doing that in Mexico.
Right, that one.
Possible. I'm not sure who the script writer for it was, but it was very dramatic.
Vince Russo and Vince McMahon almost guaranteed wrote that about, oh my God, it's David Coulthard in the truck and he's got the trophy.
We've killed Lee.
No. He's just desperately tried to breathe from any hole that he has in his body.
Oh, God. There's an image.
Images we did not need.
Right, other Formula One related stuff. Hungary has got an extra year on its contract now. I think probably as okay, you're doing a race with no fans this year, have another year on at the end where you'll get some money for it. So the Hungarian Grand Prix is now on the calendar to 2027.
That feels like a long time away.
I like the Hungarian Grand Prix, so I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
If Lee's still breathing, I'm just waiting for his opinions on this one.
No, I think he's in recovery.
They were contracted until 2026 anyway, weren't they? So it's only like an extra year that's been added onto it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the circuits that have guaranteed races are now getting an extra year added onto the contract.
Yeah, Monza was last week, wasn't it? They had the extra one. So yeah, I think it is. If you've got one behind closed doors, have another one for lols.
So does that mean Austria and Silverstone will get an extra 2 years?
Don't know.
Then again, there's only one Austrian Grand Prix, so maybe 70th anniversary will get an extra year's race.
71st anniversary.
Adversary are harder.
Do we have to write a 70th anniversary national anthem like we did with Rosbergia?
Yes.
I think we peaked, to be perfectly honest. I think we peaked with Rosbergia. We should have kept that for the difficult third album.
For anyone that hasn't heard the Rosbergian anthem, you lucky bastards.
I think we should play out with it tonight just to remind everyone what it's like.
A treat for the ears.
Right. Challenge
For those,
accepted.
for those listeners who aren't quite sure exactly what we're talking about, long-time listeners will totally get the joke. The national anthem of Rosbergia is dedicated to Nico Rosberg, who raced under the German flag in Formula One, despite the fact that all the way through his junior racing career he'd raced under the Finnish flag, and in karting it apparently raced under the Monegasque flag. So it's all three anthems put together, and even I think when he won the Italian Grand Prix, he said he felt a little bit Italian, but it was too much of a headache to have three anthems playing at the same time, let alone four. So,
Right, that does it. I think I've still got your scratchy Mr. Chumley Warner announcement for it as well. So we'll use the lot.
do it. Yeah. I forgot I did that actually.
Oh, listen to the end. You're in for a treat. Oh dear. Right, what else we got? We've got the virtual 24-hour of Le Mans this weekend. Not us doing the virtual 24-hour Le Mans. This is proper drivers doing it.
Christ, imagine staying awake for 24 hours playing PlayStation. Oh no, wait! I don't even have to imagine it. I've already done it.
I was gonna say you've been at one of our Micro Machines nights, haven't you, before?
What? Yeah, one of the first ones I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah, should we call it a night now? No, the taxis are going back to day rate in 20 minutes. Let's do another few races. But yeah, they're doing it. They're doing it properly. I mean, it's teams of 4 drivers. There's LMP2 and GT classes. We've got just names that are jumping out here. We've got Juan Pablo Montoya, Sebastian Buemi, Brendan Hartley, because he has all the experience of being experienced. Jensen Button's in there as well. Jean-Eric Verne. Will Stevens, who gets a promotion because he normally drives GT amateur cars, but he's driving a virtual
Jesus Christ,
LMP.
what is wrong with this podcast? That's the second mention for Will Stevens in the same...
I thought Will Stevens most of the time drove like a Golf GTI or something.
With that accent, you would actually expect it.
Was Leclerc not in there? I'm sure I saw him doing some practice laps the other day.
Yeah, Charles Leclerc is driving, oh, surprise, surprise, a Ferrari.
Wow, I wonder how he got that gig.
Yeah. Alongside another
I
favourite...
apologise.
Alongside another favourite driver of Lee's, it's him and Giovinazzi in the same team.
Fucking hell.
Well, Antonio Giovinazzi's still a Ferrari junior driver.
Do they know that? Because they appear to have signed
so.
like 5 drivers in F2 and then got a Carlos Sainz from McLaren rather than a Giovinazzi.
Yeah, that's right. They signed. They signed Sainz. I mean, that's not easy to say. They signed Sainz before, looking at Antonio Giovinazzi. Giovinazzi's not ready, is he? Let's be honest. He's he might be. I feel released from his Ferrari contract, should we say, when his contract is up for renewal, and whether Alfa decide to re-sign him or he just goes to somewhere like Haas or Williams maybe or somewhere like that. Possibly. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good driver, but I don't get the feeling he's great.
Why do you think he's a good driver?
Because he's pretty good up against Kimi Räikkönen. He's compared pretty well in the second half of last season. Obviously, we haven't seen anything of him in the car this year. Haven't seen anything of anyone in the car this year. But it took him a little while to get his feet under the table with Alfa. But when he did, he was comparing pretty favourably with Kimi, who had only the year before won a race with Ferrari. So I think he's a good driver, but I don't think he'd end up ever being like a race winner or a world champion or anything.
I see him in Formula E in the future.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Taking the Verline route of I will definitely get back to Formula one day.
Oh, don't forget it was Giovinazzi who stood in for when Verline had his back accident and couldn't race for 2 races.
Was. Not
from
was.
memory, he did. He did okay in Australia, and then in China it was doing all right until he decided spinning it into the wall.
Yeah, but don't forget when he spun it into the wall in China, it was under the bridge, and they hadn't actually finished drying that because they were out with wooden twig brooms getting the water off the track just before. They were just before the race started.
They didn't dry that particular section of track.
Or they didn't dry it enough. It was under the big Heineken bridge. As
he spun it into the wall.
And he spun it into the wall when he got his tyres wet on that. You can't blame him 100% for what happened then.
Even still, he's not been that long in a Formula One car. But again, I mean, as I say, I don't think Giovinazzi is going to set the world on fire. Sainz might win some races in Ferrari, but I think if you put Giovinazzi in that seat, I don't think we'd be looking at a race winner.
I mean, sometimes a move to Ferrari works for people because I was incredibly sceptical when they signed Massa.
Yeah,
I remember that. That was an odd
good
one.
At Sauber.
I mean that was the thing though. He looked good in the Sauber, but I just thought that was his limit. And soon when Ferrari said they were signing him as Schumacher's number 2, it's like, oh, that's a bit above his pay grade, isn't it? Yeah, I was wrong.
I'm more and more. I'm interested in what Massa would have done without his accident. Because that 2008 season really did look like the sort of coming of age of Massa, and then the coming of age was cut remarkably short.
Yeah, I mean we've said countless times before on here he wasn't the same driver after it.
No.
Well, he'd have needed to move teams though, wouldn't he? Because we know Ferrari haven't won fuck all since then.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. He was getting good.
That's a good point, isn't it? Yeah.
He was getting good round about the point that the car wasn't.
I did see something that Felipe Massa said that because he's been doing his own sort of like Instagram live like Felipe Massa TV thing from home, and he was saying that Sebastian Vettel Ferrari being a failure is nothing to do with Sebastian Vettel and everything to do with Ferrari.
I agree.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Like I've said this like on multiple occasions about Vettel. You like people could say what they want, but you don't become a 4-time world champion by accident.
Don't know. Center
No, it would be nice. It would have been nice to watch Vettel do really well, like win a world championship in a Ferrari. But I think I said at the time when it was announced that he was leaving, like I can never remember like a championship, like getting to the latter stage of the championship, or even the second half of the championship, and just thinking, Vettel's going to win this. At no point did I ever could I remember ever thinking that.
Yeah. I think he's without the Ferrari pressure. I don't know what it'll do if he's got pressure trying to get a seat. And I know it seems unlikely that he's going to sign for Mercedes, but surely it must be a possibility. Otherwise, they'd have shot it down already.
Yeah, because Toto said, didn't he, with his interview with Martin Brundle, that essentially if they're looking for someone, of course he'll be on the list.
It's that good old 1-year rolling deal for Bottas.
Yeah, that's why I did catch that before. Sean said, "Poor Bottas." We're talking about the 1-year rolling deals. Yeah, yeah. I don't. I think Mercedes have got many options at their fingertips when it comes to 2021. I think they'll end up tying Lewis Hamilton down pretty quickly to a couple of years deal, and that. For my money, I think they'll probably put George Russell in the other car. I don't think it would sit well with Mercedes to have two world champions who are, let's face it, they are both in the twilight of their careers now. Let's be honest, they're not young drivers anymore. To have them both in the car at the same time might prove damaging to the team long term.
I think you're right.
I think Russell's got that seat for.
I think you're right.
Seat is Russell's,
and I think Vettel will end up going to Aston Martin.
Well, they've said they're not looking to change the lineup for next year.
Yeah, I think they say lots of things.
I think they said that before Vettel was a free agent as well.
No, they reaffirmed it last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Otmar
I hate his name. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Otmar Schaffner.
The team principal said that he sees no reason to change the driver lineup for next year.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen them drive yet, have we?
Yeah.
If they have an Ocon Perez type year, he may have a reason.
I see no reason to have another cup of tea before I go to bed, but things change.
I just googled Otmar Schaffner. He was born in Romania.
Oh, fuck it, he is from everywhere.
He is one of those I wouldn't have been able to tell you actually where he's from.
Yeah,
he sounds American.
Yeah, he
born
has
in
the American
Romania,
accent.
but has an American father of German descent.
Citizen of the
So they call-
world.
So they called him Otmar.
Oh dear. Right, I think that about sort of does it for all the news that's going around at the moment. I think
We're going to talk about tyres, weren't we?
Oh, that was the other thing. Yes, tyres. Sorry, this is what happens when I don't write things down. Pirelli have said that the 2019 tyres will now more likely than not last until the end of 2021.
That's a durable compound, isn't it?
Haas. Fuck.
I would love to have been a fly on Gunter Steiner's wall when he read that memo.
As a cost-cutting measure and as a general sort of, they're carrying the cars into next year, and then there's a massive rule change now scheduled for 2022. That, to me, it makes perfect sense. You may as well not change it before the big rule change and the wheels change shape and size anyway.
Shape?
Going into the new... What?
You've broken all of us with that one.
Well, the wheels are changing shape. They're still going to be cylindrical, but they're changing dimensions. So
A bigger circle is a different shape to a smaller circle.
they're going to be longer as well, aren't they? Wider if you look at them.
Maybe the new tires aren't even different sizes. Maybe they're just closer to us.
Maybe. Maybe the old ones from like before 2016 aren't actually that skinny. They're just a lot further away.
So what has happened with the tyres, of course, nobody liked the compounds that Pirelli were putting forward for 2020. So at the time, it was decided to hold over the 2019 tyres for this season. And now, of course, there's going to be no in-season tyre testing this year. Pirelli have actually abandoned the testing programme. So
we're lucky to have an in-season season.
That is true. So now Pirelli aren't going to have time or the chance to develop and test tyres for 2021. So they're just hanging on to them and putting all the work into the differently shaped 2022 tyres.
They are a different shape. Have a look at them.
You've been listening to A Perfect Circle again, by any chance?
No, but I mean, if you have a look at the new tins of Big Soup, compare them to the old tins of Big Soup, still a round tin, but it's a different shape.
That was a bad time to take a drink for both of us.
I had just taken a massive gobful of water as you said tin of soup. Like, oh Christ, where are we going?
Yeah, the Heinz Big Soups, they're not Big Soups anymore.
What are they not even
Different
bigger soups?
No, you know the ones I mean. The Heinz Big Soups used to be bigger than the normal soups. Now they're still called Big Soups, but they're the same size and shape as the smaller soups.
So is a smaller soup now like a mini soup, or
is a big soup?
No, it's the same size. It's just I've got pictures. I'll send them through.
A big soup is now soup.
No, I'm sending it to the chat group because I was so incensed in chocolate. I took a picture.
I think it's finally happened, and we have all hit stir crazy. And the worrying thing is that I'm the only one that's working from home. The other three of you are going out every day.
I'm working from home tomorrow.
Range.
I found it. This is coming through to you guys now.
I was waiting for this.
Angry. I was so angry when I saw this.
You know what? I'm going to randomly share this picture on the Discord.
Do it. I was very angry.
Not on the Patreon chat, on the main chat.
So they can
have
all
a look
see
at that.
Chris sent a photo.
Oh wow!
Yep,
They do look similar.
That is a big soup that isn't big.
No, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for soup here because big soup has never meant bigger tin. It's bigger chunks of stuff inside the soup.
No,
I was about to make the same point.
I still have old big tins in my cupboard.
I was also under the impression that big soup was relating to the chunk rather than the overall quantity.
I can't believe I'm being done over by big soup.
Better than Big Farmer.
Exactly. Nobody wants to get done over by the Big Farmer.
No.
No, he runs the island, doesn't he?
He makes the big soup.
I'm an Illuminati shill for big soup.
Well, we've managed to do it. We've talked about something else for longer than we've talked about Will Stevens. Our consciences are clear.
And none of it's got anything to do with Formula E. I'm happy.
Right. Is that one it? I can't remember anything else that we talked about earlier that we said
I don't
we were going to do.
think I have any other news.
Just quickly before we go, because I mentioned this before.
We're not going.
Don't go anywhere.
We're
Jesus.
not going just yet. There's like more. There's still
Total
more.
Shunt wasn't Will Stevens, was it?
Oh no! I mean before we moved on. this whole double header thing and the fact that we haven't got the reverse grid qualifying shake up now, if we have two like back-to-back races and we end up with like, even if it's the same podium or the same sort of top five, do you think it might be detrimental to Formula One? Might the story be Formula One fans watch like repeat of last week's Grand Prix? Especially if it's a snooze fest. Imagine that.
Yeah, we did that every weekend 2000 to 2004, didn't we?
No, but could you, on the same circuit, like, this is slightly different, isn't it?
I think given the wait we've had, I think it probably wouldn't be the end of the world.
I think it'll be worse because people want excitement. And if we get like a bad Austrian Grand Prix, then you're going to have a whole week going, are we going to see the same thing again? And then we see the same thing again. I think it'll be worse with the wait.
As long as it's better than France last year, we'll cope.
Nothing will be as bad as France last year.
I mean, I was.
Let's hope not.
I was trying.
Actually, back-to-back Russian Grand Prix.
Oh Christ! Yeah, that's a point.
That's a thing.
Sochi at one point last week offered their services for back-to-back races, and I think that got brushed under the carpet very quickly.
I think if Mr. Putin wants two Grand Prix, he'll get them.
What's not looking very likely is a Brazilian Grand Prix at the moment, or anywhere near South America. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the next lot of the calendar is that comes out.
Yeah, I mean Singapore's looking doubtful as well because they've said that they can only host it on the original weekend it was meant to take place, which I think was the 20th of September. And they're also only going to host it if fans are allowed in attendance.
Well, you can't not have fans in attendance in Singapore because it's a street circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, people naturally overlook it.
Yeah, I think
haven't Singapore like got properly on top of it anyway?
No, they started relaxing their measures and then it started getting a bit iffy again, I think.
Ah, right, okay.
I mean, don't forget, this is relaxing the measures Singapore style. This is a country where you're not allowed to chew gum, so nothing was relaxed to begin with.
Yeah. No, but I was only interested because I know there was reports, wasn't there, of like South Korea relaxing measures, and then we had all the like fear porn news stories of Singapore rocked by second wave, and what it actually was like 70 cases in one work area where everybody was packed in together, and it wasn't like a second wave, and it wasn't even really a news story. It was just our like Western media trying to terrify people again.
You know what? I completely miss this, but then again, I don't read a lot of the same news sites as you. Must get this cough sorted out. No, I think the main thing with Singapore is they want the paying grandstands in there, and I don't think the Formula One teams are actually keen on having more people around the circuit. I mean, obviously, yes, there are going to be people there watching it because it's going past where they live.
To be fair, though, if you're going to a country which is let's just say that when it comes to Grand Prix time, that country has it in order. The country isn't the problem then.
It's whether or not the country would want to let you in, having just got their shit sorted.
Yeah. So if a country's welcoming a Formula One to come for a race on, and they want fans in attendance, then realistically, it's Formula One that's the threat, not the country.
But I think the other thing they wanted was to have it as an absolutely completely normal weekend, with the big track walk and the pit access on the Thursday, which they've always done, which is causing problems with a sort of hermetically sealed bubble that Formula One wants to put all the teams in when they move on to the next race. And it's whether wherever the race after Singapore is, will they let the teams in after that, after they've had public access, regardless of whether the country's safe or not. It's still the risk. It's not the risk to Singapore. It's the risk to, I don't know, it could be Japan.
I mean, realistically, we've over 3 months away, Joe. So I things seem to be moving along so quickly, and much more quickly than we thought there would be. I've said all along, I wouldn't be surprised to see fans at a race by the end of the year.
Oh, I think
No, they have said that. Formula One have said that they want fans in back at races before the end of this year.
Yeah.
I could see somewhere like Bahrain being ready. And they don't tend to fill the stands anyway there, so even if there are still cases in Bahrain, you can be well separated. I think they had it quite early as well, didn't they?
Yeah, this
Not
is
sure.
where it is, isn't it? It's where you've got it on the chain, so to speak, which is going to be the issue, because it seems to be lasting the same sort of time in each country before it starts to die away.
Yeah, I'm sure they had it when they have cycling in the Middle East, which is usually sort of January, February time.
yes, it was because there was two members of the. It was either the McLaren team or the Ineos team that actually tested positive for it, and they pulled the Tour of Bahrain 2 days in. And cycling packed up, went home, and cancelled all events straight after that.
If they had the World Championship cycling event, is it in Qatar?
Do you know what? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's in Qatar where they have like a world championship cycling event. But the Middle East was kind of, obviously, as it spread out from China, it spread to the Southeast Asia and then sort of Middle East. Europe have kind of got it, and most places in Europe appear to be kind of over the peak of the main part now, but it's the other side of the Atlantic. I really don't know how Canada's doing, but I know there's been an awful lot of deaths in the US and Brazil particularly is really bad at the moment. So races late on in the season in US, Mexico, and Brazil, may not be feasible. We'll have to see how it pans out. But the whole 8 races over 3 continents thing, Europe and Asia are the only places that we're looking at putting races at the moment.
But Ross Brawn has now said
So
that.
that going to be.
Sorry. Ross Brawn's now said that if they run 8 races in Europe and that's it, and they can't go anywhere else, it still counts as a world championship under extenuating circumstances.
Okay, in which case that would be what we were talking about last week, where Jeff Sharp was saying about the asterisk next to it. There would be an asterisk next to that particular world championship.
Actually, just looking up Bahrain, they seem to be having a second wave at the moment, which is not helpful for anyone.
At the moment, all we know for definite is we've got F1 in Europe without fans between July and early to mid-September.
Should we shunt?
I was going to say, anything after that's a bonus, and I think it's time for a shunt.
I need to get it. Bill,
Keep talking about coronavirus.
Every time. In the meantime, I will fill about our iRacing campaign, which is still going on strong. We usually race on a Sunday, 8:00 UK time, 3:00 Eastern. It's been a great laugh so far. We've had 5 great races. We've even got a championship going now. So Ricky Worrell has very kindly put a spreadsheet together with the points on. So I'll put those up on the website. It was a
Ricky
spreadsheet.
Worrell, a pseudonym for Paul, because we know
I was
you
gonna
love
say, did you let
spreadsheets so much.
You
It
let
was-
someone else do the spreadsheets.
I let someone else do a 3-leg sport wheel spreadsheet. I didn't do this one.
Jesus.
And we're racing again this coming Sunday, and it's going to be the Skip Barber cars at the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
We need to start making this some sort of championship now. We need points.
We have done.
That's what we were just talking
Have
about
we?
with the
Yeah.
spreadsheet.
Ricky sent a
Sorry,
spreadsheet. Ricky sent a spreadsheet through with all the points on from the 5 races, so that's going to be going up on the website. We now actually have a proper championship.
Wow. This is
You know,
exciting.
Dude, you should have a championship with like points or something.
If only somebody could do a spreadsheet.
For iRacing, yeah?
Great idea. If you guys had a championship going.
I have a total shunt for you.
I was going to say, just to wrap that up, if you want to take part and you're on iRacing, drop us a line, get in touch on Discord, let us know, and you can join in with our Sunday races, which, just to reassure people, will be carrying on after Formula One comes back. This isn't just a lockdown thing. I think we're invested in this for the long term.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's really good fun.
Now let's shunt.
Right, this one was sent in to us by Chris Betker. See what I did?
He sent
I pronounced. I pronounced his name right.
He sent a pronunciation guide, didn't he?
He did last time he put a talk shunt in. Yeah,
Oh, he knows what he's doing.
that's what I did just then. Is I went back in time to find that message that he sent. That's what we were waiting for. I was born
Yay.
Yes.
the same year as Paul, 1923.
Right.
So a lot of car manufacturers were sort of coming together around about then, weren't they?
How old's Murray Walker? He's 90, isn't he?
Yeah, that would be a good age for Murray, but round about the right age for Murray.
The second clue should have the word cars in it, but I'm going to skip that word because I think it'll sound funnier if I don't include it. I cut my teeth racing willies in high school.
Yes, lovely.
During World War II, I was a flight instructor and a test pilot.
Okay, so we're looking at an individual then, rather than an organisation or a manufacturer.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the willies.
I'm not up on the Willy.
No, me neither.
I stand by my decision.
I think we're looking for somebody either American or Australian.
Okay.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Would Jack Brabham be about the right age? Or he's not that old, is he?
I'm not sure. Because your F1 driver did tend to be a little bit older back in the day, didn't it? As a general rule.
he was around in the early 60s, wasn't
Yeah.
he, Jack Brabham? So, he would have been in his late 30s, early 40s at that point.
Which was probably about about the right age for then.
Maybe if we're looking at somebody born in 23, the early part of possibly then it is a possibility. Should we go with Jack Brabham as a first guess?
I think
Why not?
That's a good shout. That is a good shout. And no, Jana, I wasn't born in the 1800s.
My amateur racing career began in 1952, where I won 4 races and declined all prize money. Clearly had a penny or two.
Yeah.
So
Declined all prize money. What the hell?
late starter then. Then again, I suppose
If you're busy in the war doing test pilot-y shit.
yeah. So some kind of gentleman driver.
Yeah, looking less like kind of Jack Brabham. Too young to be someone like Louis Chiron.
Possibly.
Louis Chiron was racing in the 30s, wasn't he? So
Yeah.
yeah.
that's true,
Okay.
actually.
Yeah.
Clue number 5.
Okay.
Teaming with Austin Healey in 1954, I set 17 speed records.
Okay, so that changes things about me thinking that they're not British, because Austin Healey was
It's very British.
British. Both the car and the rugby player that was named after the car.
So I went to preschool with a child whose name genuinely was Harley Davidson.
Wow.
no.
Oh.
Boy or girl? Oh.
It was a boy.
It was a male Harley.
Sorry.
His parents were pricks. Clue number 6. I won 40 races driving for Ferrari in I put 4 in there. I take it it's for Ferrari. It says driving Ferraris in 1955 and 1956. I don't know if the wording makes any difference.
Well,
40 races.
Yeah,
Yep.
but don't forget, back in those days, as we bring up every time we talk about Jim Clark, you used to do 1, maybe 2 races every week for a year.
Yeah, in different formulas as
Yeah,
well.
Yeah.
Driving for Ferrari would imply you are a member of a team. Driving Ferraris just means you have a Ferrari and go thrashing it about somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, you get
I'd
drivers.
like a guess.
Shit.
You get drivers taking part in the Mille Miglia and pausing halfway through to enter a race, and
This
then going back and doing the second half.
This
on
is
the same
definitely
day.
some rich boy, isn't it? Because he's just wanking about in Ferraris and not taking prize money.
It would appear to be, Ferrari wouldn't let anyone drive because Enzo Ferrari was still alive then. Obviously, he wouldn't have let somebody drive his cars who was not good enough to drive his cars.
Well, if he's won 40 in 2 years, he's doing all right.
Yeah, but he's definitely a rich boy. But, I do not need this prize money. I drive the red Italian cars.
I don't know why, but I've just got a feeling it's going to be somebody fictional.
How about Mike Hawthorne?
He was in his late 30s when he died, wasn't he? So he would be...
Right. Okay. So he was 58 world champion, I think.
Yes, and he
and the
died...
first British world champion.
Yeah, and I think he died the following year.
Right. So yeah, that would be roughly the right age then.
Yeah, and so 54, 55, he was doing Le Mans type stuff. So would have been
Okay,
potentially
so-
in a Ferrari.
So Mike Hawthorne might be a decent shout. Britain's first ever
Yeah.
Formula One champion.
Go for that.
Yeah, not a bad shout.
In 1958 and 1959, I entered 8 Formula One Grand Prix for 3 different teams.
That does
I
not
would
sound
imagine
like...
that's not at the same time.
Yeah, that does not sound like world champion behaviour.
It doesn't.
In 1958, in the 1958 Italian Grand Prix, I placed 4th with the best finish of my F1 career and received 0 championship points.
Hang on.
This is-
the 19 when? Sorry.
In the
1958 Italian.
In the 1958 Italian Grand Prix, I placed 4th, the best finish of my F1 career, and received 0 championship points.
So it must have been a non-championship event then, because 4th was still worth points even way back then.
Unless you were sharing the car with somebody else who did enough to qualify for the points and you didn't. Because that was a thing back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, like it only did like 9% of the race or something, and then somebody else did 91% of it.
Yeah.
Clue number 9. As a team owner, my F1 team scored 17 championship points between 1966 and 1968, including winning the 1967 Belgian Grand Prix.
See, I'm going back to Brabham again.
But he must have finished higher than 4th at some point.
Sure, Jack
To become a
Brabham
world
won a
champion.
race.
Yeah.
You would think that's going to have to be some solid 5th places.
And a lot of points.
Yeah.
Finishing 5th. What do you mean I get more points for 5th than I do for winning?
We're going back to Grand Prix Manager where you could rig the points system.
Yeah, you are.
Clue number 10.
Yeah. Is there a Spaffer as well?
Yes, there is.
Good.
I have won Le Mans as a driver and a designer.
A designer.
Whoa.
Sorry, I
Christ.
don't know if that means someone's won. I don't know if that means they won it in their own car or they won it and they designed a winning car. I don't know.
Oh, hang on. We've literally just watched this film. It's Carol Shelby.
Yeah. And Carol Shelby did work with aeroplanes before he
Yeah.
designed cars.
Yeah. Shall we have the Spaffer anyway, seeing as he's taking the time to write it?
Between 1965 and 1969, 13,767 sports cars were manufactured bearing my name.
Yeah, Shelby Cobra.
Yeah. The extra spaffer retort. Have you been played recently in a film by Matt Damon?
I've no idea, but you're right. I am Carol Shelby. Carol is
Yeah,
not a boy's name.
That was a good one.
That was really good. Thank you, Chris, for sending that one in.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I enjoyed that one because it threw us one way, it threw us the other. We didn't know, one way or the other. But interesting that he only scored 4th, but didn't score any championship points. Was that a non-championship event? Do we know?
Or unless he was some kind of guest driver.
Right. What year Italian
maybe.
Grand Prix was
58,
that?
was it?
58. Let's have a look. 1950. Oops.
Talk amongst
58
yourselves while the
Italian
Wikipedia
Grand Prix.
searching is happening.
Oh,
Yes, it's good
really
job
made
you
a
actually do
mess
this
of
in your
this.
day job, isn't it, Sean? Mid broadcast. Just hang on, I don't know if that's true. Let me just Google it.
Right. No points were scored because it was a shared drive. He was sharing the car with Maston Gregory, so he would have scored points otherwise. If it had,
Okay, so
by the looks
Master
of things,
Gregory scored the points.
no, nobody scored the points because it was a shared drive.
Oh, okay. So you weren't allowed to score points if you shared the drive.
Yeah. So 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th all scored points,
That seems very defeatist.
and 4th didn't because it had 2 drivers, and you didn't get points for finishing 6th in those days, which was actually Graham Hill.
Graham Hill. Oh, okay.
In his, we're probably going to lose Lee again, in his Lotus Climax.
Nah, 2 on the nose.
But obviously the car that finished 5th was a Cooper Climax, which did finish you off before.
Which has done.
Do you know what?
Yeah,
We named,
yeah.
I'm just looking at this race, we named like half the field during that one. You've got Mick Hawthorne,
Jack Brabham.
Jack Brabham. Did we say Graham Hill at one point? I feel like we did. He's not in there anyway.
So
is he?
we
No, I'm
mentioned
wrong
it
Hill.
just then when it, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
hang on.
excuse me,
I'm
yes, he
looking
wasn't
at the
there.
full race. Carroll Shelby was 4th and unclassified after he crashed out on the first lap.
What?
That's the Kimi Raikkonen 2017 Baku approach, is it not?
Yeah, he crashed out with a handling problem on lap 1, and then it would appear that he hoofed his teammate out of the car and did another, how many laps was it? 68 laps.
Okay. I finished 4th, but got no points for it.
Yeah.
Well, that was a day well spent, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's actually listed twice in the finishing order. That was, yeah, interestingly done in those days. How do you go about sending in a total shunt?
Tweet me at a Total Shunt on Twitter, or you can send me one on Instagram as well at the same name.
And if you want to get in touch with the rest of us, you can get us at 3 Legs 4 Wheels on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you're on Discord, have a look for the 3 Legs 4 Wheels server. Decent community there. If you're a Patreon at patreon.com/3 Legs 4 Wheels, you get to listen to this live every week and you get the show a little earlier on a Monday night. And you can get us all individually at
Sean Cowper.
At Flood21.
and at Pablo100. We will be back next week with more news. We're definitely getting closer to the season, and we're only a couple of weeks away from actually doing a season preview, and might be time to start looking at getting some guests again soon.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for holding on with us and holding out with us whilst we wait for this Formula One season to finally get underway. It looks like we can almost taste it with our noses.
I am licking it with my eye as I speak.
Genuinely, I don't think I've ever been more excited for a Formula One season to start than I am to get this racing underway.
Even 2009.
Well, I didn't know that was going to happen. I thought it was going to be awful.
Right, we're off. We will see you next week. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of Rosbergia.